If you're not driving on the right racing line, using the right braking points, or without perfect sim racing technique, you're not going to be fulfilling your sim racing potential. In this video, one of our sim racing coaches, Josh Ladd, is going to go over everything you need to know to dominate iRacing at Tsukuba circuit in the Mazda MX-5. First up, Josh is going to go over a full lap, followed by a more detailed analysis. Make sure you watch the entire video to get the full benefit and ensure you're quick at the Tsukuba circuit.
So crossing the lines to start the lap, very wide entry into turn 1, down 2 gears, down to second gear, using a curb on the inside for a bit of rotation, and back on my power, concentrating on the exit. These two corners are easy flat out, and then we have a banked turn 2. Again, we're going down 2 gears, making sure to keep it in the middle of the track to ride the banking around, and back on full power using all of the exit. Very fast right-hander, keep it in third gear, a little bit of brakes just to get the weight on the nose, and then short shifting to fourth on this left-hand bend just to keep the rear in check, using all of the track on the entry, taking a late apex, getting back on power as soon as possible, concentrating on the exit a lot for this corner because you want to gain all the time down the straight, and then you have a very fast right-hander, very long fast right-hander at the end of the lap, using a little bit of brake just to get the car turned in, and then committing to the throttle on the exit, going all the way out to the grass on the exit, using all the track. So, coming up to turn 1, it's a very, very wide entry to the corner, good for overtaking, probably the most common overtaking spot on the track. But on a normal lap, you just want to, as usual, enter from as far left as possible, getting as close to the white line, if not on the white line. And then the braking zone, primarily you want to be braking before you go over this crest, whilst it's still going uphill, because obviously when you're going uphill, you get more deceleration, so you just want to exploit that, and then going to about 80% pressure, maybe 90%, but just making sure you don't kick in the ABS, because the ABS is just going to really hurt your turn into the corner. And then just going, you want to aim for an apex around here where my mouse is.
So here Josh is talking about vision. Now vision is one of the most fundamental techniques that you can learn to be quicker in your sim racing. You need to make sure that you are looking a step ahead of where you are on the track. So when you're on the brakes, you're looking across at the apex. When you're turning the car in towards the corner, you're looking between the apex and the exit of the corner. And once you get to the apex, you should already be looking toward the exit of the corner. If you get your vision right, things are going to feel like they slow down in the car, and you're going to be able to drive more consistently and lap faster on track.
It's quite a late apex, but that's just because the corner tightens on the exit. So you want to aim there, and then just smoothly coming off the brakes. I think I came off the brakes a bit too fast, but it didn't really hurt my lap time too much. So just smoothly coming off the brakes as we start to introduce the load, and then holding a brake right until we get to the apex, and then increasing the power. So we're just keeping the weight all the way on the front wheels as we come towards the apex, because you don't want to be understeering. So we just don't want to be front limited through here, and not using too much steering lock, using maximum about 100 degrees of steering lock. And then I actually go on the inside curb here, and it just rotates the car quite nicely on the inside curb. It's a bit steep, but it's okay. And then committing to a throttle. I committed to a throttle slightly too early. I had to get out of it a couple of times, but it didn't hurt my lap time at all, really. And then just using all the exit. Yeah, I mean, you don't want to go on the grass, obviously. And then run up to turn 2, and this is all flat, obviously. Turn 2 is very tricky, so you want to do a big braking zone in a straight line, and then you can see that it's banked, and the banking gets shallower the closer to the inside curb you get. So you actually want to just ride the banking around the middle of the track, and just ride the banking through there. If you go too tight to the curb, you'll get off the banking, and it's going to understeer the car. So yeah, big brake, easing off the brakes, and now introducing the steering, just not really going anywhere near the apex. A good reference point is the track goes a bit lighter here So you want to stay off that and stay where the track is a bit darker with the tyre marks. And then just holding a brake until we get back on the power. About 140 degrees of steering lock. Getting my power, a little bit of a correction. But yeah, like as soon as I get off the brake, because I've got the car rotated using a banking and the trail braking technique, we're getting back on the power. And most important thing here is just really to keep a smooth steering. You don't want to overload the front tyres and cause understeer. You just want to smoothly introduce the load to the tyres. Because it's a not very fast corner, but it's a very high load corner. And now we have this tricky left-hander. So what you want to do is position your car facing to the left, which means we can preload the tyres with the steering. So I'm already turning right at this point, and the tyres are nicely flexing on the rim, loading up.
So as you can see here, Josh is being very clever in the way in which he's positioning the car. What he's doing by moving the car gently over to the left is he's enabling himself to start the turn very early. That means that you can actually start with a softer steering input, meaning that the weight of the car will transfer to the outside more gently, which means that it's more manageable when you're pushing the car to the limit. This increases the amount of grip that the car's got and therefore means you can go through the corner even more quickly.
And now getting on the power really nicely on the apex. You don't want to go on this curb because it throws the car left and it messes you up for this bend. Most important thing for this bend here is that you want to short shift to fourth, because you can take it flat out if you short shift to fourth. But if you change to fourth too late, it sort of shocks the rear axle and breaks the rear grip away a bit. So coming into the second to last corner, very important corner to get that long straight after it. You want to use all the track on the entry. I'm actually going on this green bit to use even more of the track.
During this next corner, watch how long Josh is trailing on the brakes and notice how light he is with his brake pressure. The reason for this is that we want to keep a little bit of the weight of the car on the nose, therefore helping the turn-in of the car. We don't want to go too much with the brake pressure because that will mean that the rear of the car will come around, and this is what the fine balance of trail braking is like.
And then braking nicely. So you can really go on the ABS or 100% brake when you're braking in a straight line, but as soon as you get anywhere near turning, you want to just lift off it. So you want to take a late apex, but also ride the banking. So you don't want to go too tight in. You want to aim for about here where the curb flattens out. I sort of came in a bit too hot and missed the apex slightly, but it was okay because I could get my power nice and early and really get some good drive out of the corner for this long straight. So all the time you gain on the entry for this corner, you'll lose by like double on the exit and on the straight consequently after. And then the last corner is very, very tricky. So I'm loading up the tyres. Just loading up the tyres slightly here by going to the middle of the track and then coming over to the left. Is good because it's a high load corner, very fast corner. So there you go, braking in, and just holding at 10% brake, not even 10% now, and now getting back on the power. So this brake, this light braking pressure has allowed me to rotate the car really nicely. Like I'm barely turning a steering wheel. I'm not even turning a steering wheel. It's just rotating a car because the tyre, I turned it initially and now it's just riding at.
In this section of the track, you can see that Josh is very, very light with his brake pressure. As he mentions, we want to just keep the nose of the car entering the corner and create slight rotation, but we don't want to go too much with the brake pressure. So when you are driving on the track, make sure that you're not overslowing the car, that you're not braking the car too much, especially in this area. One common mistake that we see all the time is drivers overslowing the car, using too much brake pressure. This actually lowers the amount of grip that the car's got, causing the rear to slide prematurely and therefore reducing the minimum cornering speed.
It's just rotating a car because the tyre, I turned it initially and now it's just riding at controlled slide basically until you get on my power. I have to hesitate on my power because this corner is so long. It's hard to get on full power immediately, and make a bit of a correction and then back on full power. And then using all the track on the exit, going all the way all the way out here. Yeah, and just run to the finish line.
If you enjoyed this video, check out this short playlist that I've put together to further improve your iRacing. If you really want to level up your iRacing, check out the Driver61 training program, where we teach you the tools you need to be faster in iRacing. Link in the description below. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.